a.m. And as we head towards closure of the program at 10 a.m., we are now going to be joined by the CEO of the Road Freight Association, Gavin Kelly. And this comes against the background of the scourge of trucks that are being attacked right across the country. Gavin, good morning to you and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for approaching me.
Well, Gavin, certainly this is now a scourge and truck arson, and there are major concerns at this point in time with regards to the attack that is being made on trucks being burned, and also at the same time, we know as far as road freight is concerned, in fact, an important and a huge contributor to the economy of the country.
Well, that's correct. I mean, if you look at the stats that have been produced over the last couple of years from Stats South Africa, you know that more than 80% of all the freight that is transported via land in South Africa and probably across Africa, but definitely in South Africa, is done via road. There's no viable rail link, unfortunately, no matter how much we try to get up and running. So yes, once you start attacking that logistics supply chain, you're going to damage a whole lot of industries. In the first instance, you're going to see shortages, definitely in terms of consumer goods, if the chain is disrupted enough and the operators stop moving. And of course, there's the threat to life and limb. And that's our greatest concern, is that drivers are being killed. We've had one killed already, one seriously injured fighting for his life after being shot. So drivers are being attacked. And in many cases, these are innocent drivers. They are just doing their work and they get shot at as they're going past. So yeah, very concerning.
Well, Gavin, I think one of the key questions here would be, what is the agenda? What is playing out in the background? What actually lies behind these attacks that are taking place? At this point in time, do we have sufficient intelligence as to what is happening or what some of the underlying issues are?
Well, we presume to have some intelligence. We've been told that it's the matter of foreign drivers or foreign individuals being employed as drivers by South African companies. Now, if that's all it is, then that's rather a blot on the whole system in South Africa, because there are rules, there's regulation, there are structures, there are departments that have specific departments in place or people in place to make sure that that sort of thing doesn't happen, so that if any foreigner wants to work in this country, they have to get a work permit. So that's what is being touted as being the rationale or the reasoning behind this. However, this seems to have spread, because it's no longer just involving what was at one stage representatives of unemployed South African citizens. It now has gone to the MK veterans. It has gone to a couple of political entities being involved, and we've seen other community groupings being involved. And it's spread to other foreign companies or businesses that are operating. You would have seen in KwaMashu that there were shop owners and what have you were attacked. So there seems to be a broader agenda here.
Well, certainly, and as you mentioned, that it is becoming somewhat of a political potato as well. The key question here is, as far as the police are concerned and the safety of truck drivers, and I know the RFA obviously has been calling on police to actually step up efforts to ensure the safety. Are the police doing enough?
Well, as far as we're concerned, they aren't. Our first concern is that we seem to have lost the capacity in the police services of gathering information beforehand so that one could actually nip this in the bud. There's no intelligence gathering. We don't seem to be able to identify the perpetrators. Those who incite and instigate violence are walking free, even though they put stuff up on social media. And we see the deaths happening. We've had a murder already, but nothing's happened. And then secondly, when it comes to the actual events happening out there on the road, it seems that either the police are scared to engage or they just don't have the resources to engage. We have reports where trucks have been burnt in the full view of the police. So we are really concerned about it, and we're saying that they're not doing what they need to do to protect life and limb.
Have there been any prosecutions?
From what we're aware, they haven't. We see that the president made a statement late last night in response, I would believe, to our open letter to him, where he noted that there had been some arrests. But arrests don't necessarily mean there's going to be a successful prosecution. So we have not seen any successful prosecutions. And then, of course, the right sort of justice being meted out.
Mm. Now, Gavin, just one other issue in terms of finding an alternative, and one of them that has been making the rounds is in terms of employing private security. Now, we know you've actually warned of the dangers of employing private security.
Well, the biggest concern to my mind and to anybody should be whether this would immediately escalate the whole violence circle. That is a cause for concern. So when you employ a private security company at your own home, generally that is a reactive thing. The burglar would have been in, they respond to an alarm, and generally there's very little one-on-one violence happening or reactive violence. In this scenario, one has to try and work at how this is going to operate. So you're going to put someone in the truck. Is that person going to be armed? If somebody approaches you and you're not quite sure of the intent, what are you going to do? Are you going to act first? So we don't want to go down that route. This is the matter for the South African police services. They are mandated to do this sort of thing. That is a slippery slope.
Well, and I know that I mentioned finally, but just as an afterthought, I'm just looking at the question of foreign drivers. Now, clearly, we have drivers going across the border as well. And when one looks at road freight, obviously reliant on transport into other countries right across beyond the borders of South Africa. And if foreign drivers are obviously being targeted in South Africa, what are the risks involved with South Africans when they go across to the other side?
Well, of course, there's always this reciprocal action, isn't there? And we saw this happening earlier. I can't even recall. Was it this year? COVID's really muddled the mind. But perhaps last year we had that whole series of xenophobic attacks. And you recall that Nigeria and Zambia took action against both South African businesses. ShopRite and MTN saw the brunt of that and a couple of others. And then, of course, South African trucks. The drivers were pulled out of the trucks, threatened with their own life, and then those trucks were driven by locals in those countries. So we've got to be very careful about what we're doing. We are going to destroy our own economy and the economy coming to us from the other countries.
Well, Gavin, thank you very much for that and for your time with us this morning. We wish you all the best, and please take care.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your support.
CEO of the Road Freight Association, Gavin Kelly, with us this morning against the background of this massive problem, this huge scourge of the safety of truck drivers. And we know what is taking place right across the country with the trucks being burnt, petrol bombed, shot at, stoned at. And this is going to be a major issue going forward should this situation persist, and it's going to have drastic negative consequences for the country, for the economy of the country. And with that, the time is just headed straight for 10 a.m. It's time for me to sign off. And once again, it's been an absolute pleasure being in your company on this Wednesday morning. Whatever you're going to be doing, wherever you are, please be safe and sound. So from myself and the rest of the team, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media, your humanitarian